the San Carlos Apache tribe, I believe that they are still camped out at Oak Flat. This is a place where the Apaches have had coming-of-age ceremonies, especially for girls, for generations. I was at one. I wrote about it in my book, The Prophet's Way. There's a chapter in there, in that book, about my spending a couple of weeks with the San Carlos Apache on tribal land. They had invited us in, me and John Rady, who was with Harvard Medical School at the time. I think he still is. To talk about ADHD in their kids, because so many of their kids are being put on Ritalin. I mean, over 90%. I mean, it was shocking. And it was just over medication. So anyhow, what happened was the last year, December 2014, John McCain and Jeff Flake. Jeff Flake used to be a lobbyist for Rio Tinto, which is the mining company that owns Resolution Copper, which is the mining company that's going to get this land where the Apaches have these sacred ceremonies and have for 20,000 years. And John McCain, who's just basically a shill of anybody, they slipped this thing in just before it went. I mean, we didn't even know. Most senators didn't know that they were voting to give away federal land to a foreign mining company, federal land that had been protected by the Eisenhower administration because it was sacred to the Apaches. Now, can you imagine if an area, and I realize there aren't that many in the United States unless you're Mormon. But, well, let's take, Mormons. The Mormons have got places that are sacred, along the path that Joseph Smith and Brigham Young took and all that kind of stuff. Or if it was Mount Sinai, I mean, the Apaches are saying this is like our Mount Sinai. Would you privatize it? Would you start mining on Mount Sinai? Or, where the Sermon on the Mount was held, or on Lake Galilee, the Sea of Galilee? I mean, would you really start mining sacred areas if they were Christian or Jewish or Muslim? No. But Native Americans, hey, we don't even acknowledge the genocide of Native Americans in this country anymore. We don't talk about it. It's a footnote in our textbooks. And yet there's not a square inch of land that any of us can walk on in the United States of America that wasn't once Indian land. And what small amount is left, John McCain and Jeff Flake, the two Republican senators from Arizona, slipped into this bill. It's too late. It's not too late to do anything about it. There is an effort to undo this. And if you call your elected representatives at 202-225-3121 and say, stop the giveaway of the sacred Apache lands. I knew these people. I mean, it's been 15, 20 years since I was out there, but they're good and decent people and struggling to get by. Horrible poverty. But they're holding their traditional values and traditions. I attended a coming-of-age ceremony for the daughter of the best friend of the fellow who had invited me to the tribe. It was an all-day ceremony where we danced and prayed out in the sun from sunrise to sunset, and then we did sweats that night. It lasted several days, as I recall. And I wrote about it in the book with their permission. You can read about it. It's in my book, The Prophet's Way. In fact, the chapter title is A Visit to the Apache Nation. And now these people are being robbed by John McCain and Jeff Flake. I mean, this is just wrong.